Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're diving deep into something many of us, well, we spend our lives working towards, dreaming about. Retirement. You know that picture, right? Golden years, total leisure, freedom. But what if that whole traditional idea of winding down is actually maybe a hidden trap? Something that hits our health, our minds, our actual longevity in ways we just don't expect. We've gathered some really fascinating stuff here, articles, quite a bit of research, some very personal stories too, that challenge, well, pretty much everything we thought we knew about aging well. So our mission today, to look at the science, the evidence behind what really happens when we just, stop working and maybe find a better path.
It's a really compelling area. And, often it starts with a story like Margaret's. She was this incredibly dynamic school principal, really thrives on the daily challenges, the energy of it all. Retired at 65, thought she was doing everything right, following the script, But then just 6 months later, boom. She's in her doctor's office and everything's going south. Blood pressure through the roof, cholesterol up, serious concerns about her heart. And Margaret's story, it's not just some sad one-off. It feels more like a symptom, really, of a bigger issue that, well, it makes you question how we even think about getting older.
That is stark.
Yeah.
And it immediately makes you ask, okay, is Margaret just unlucky, or is this pointing to something wider? And the data, well, it seems to suggest it is wider and pretty alarming. There's this huge Harvard Medical School study, for instance. They followed, get this, 83,000 people for over 30 years, watching their health, happiness, lifespan, after they stop working. And the findings are honestly eye-opening. People who retired completely, they had a 40% higher risk of a heart attack or stroke.
40%.
Yeah, compared to those who kept working, even just part-time or, in some capacity.
And that's key.
And these weren't people who were already sick and had to retire. No, these were healthy, active folks who just stopped, and their health paid the price.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it really suggests the body and the mind, too, reacts pretty strongly when that sense of meaningful activity just disappears. It's not just physical either. The cognitive side is just as striking, maybe even more so. Dr. Elena Rodriguez at Johns Hopkins. She did this 15-year study looking specifically at the brains of retired people. And her work showed that within just 18 months of traditional retirement, the average person shows a significant drop in cognitive function, memory, problem solving, all of it.
18 months. Wow.
Yeah. And even more telling, brain scans revealed patterns of neural activity in these retirees. Well, they looked startlingly similar to people who were 10, maybe even 15 years older. And this was just 2 years after they stopped working.
That's incredible. I mean, imagine if I told you, hey, there's a pill, and taking it will age your brain by a decade in less than 2 years. Would anyone consider taking that pill? Of course not. Yet, in a way, that's kind of what millions are doing, unknowingly, right? By just fully checking out with traditional retirement. It's a sobering thought.
It really is. And it highlights this unseen cost of disengagement, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We're not just talking about, forgetting where you put your keys more often. It's deeper. It's about losing that daily mental workout, the stimulation that keeps our brains adaptable and strong.
Right.
When that stops, the brain just seems to age faster. It affects everything.
So, okay, beyond the physical body and the brain chemistry, what about our sense of self, our purpose? And when you take away the daily goals, that feeling of being needed, of contributing something valuable, I mean, it feels like you could end up retiring not just from a job, but kind of from life itself, right?
Absolutely.
There's a psychologist, Sarah Chen, who actually calls it purposelessness syndrome. And the stats she points to are pretty brutal. Depression rates among new retirees, they can spike by 300% in the first year.
300%.
Yeah. Anxiety disorders become way more common. And tragically, you look at suicide rates in the 65 to 75 group, they've been climbing. And the sharpest climbs are among those who completely retired compared to people who maybe shifted to part-time or found new engaging pursuits.
And what's fascinating there, I think, is how deeply our identities often get wrapped up in meaningful work. For so many people, it's not just about the money. It's social connection. It's intellectual challenge. It's that core feeling of having a purpose. And when you just pull that away suddenly, it leaves this massive hole. That's where that psychological distress comes in and points to a really fundamental human need.
Which makes you circle back and ask, okay, where did this whole retire at 65 thing even come from? Because it sure doesn't seem to be working for us now. And the history is, well, kind of shocking when you dig into it.
It really is.
This idea of retiring at 65, it was set up back in 1935.
1935.
And guess what the average life expectancy was then? 61.
61. Unbelievable.
Let that sink in. The system was literally designed for people who, on average, wouldn't even live long enough to collect the benefits. Yet here we are, almost a century later, mostly sticking to that same playbook, even though people now routinely live well into their 80s, 90s.
It's completely outdated.
It's like, yeah, trying to use a horse-drawn carriage manual to operate a spaceship. The world changed, but the instructions didn't.
Exactly. And what's happening biologically during that traditional retirement, well, scientists are now actually calling it retirement syndrome. It's basically a kind of accelerated aging. And the mechanisms are pretty clear. When the daily physical demands, the mental effort, the social interaction from work just vanish, your body seems to interpret that as survival mode has ended. Like the active phase is over. So it starts, shutting down things it deems non-essential. We see muscle mass dropping, sometimes up to 8% year after full retirement. Bone density tanks. The immune system weakens quite dramatically. Cardiovascular system deteriorates because, well, the heart just doesn't have the same demands put on it.
Wow. It's a systemic shutdown almost.
It really is. Dr. Michael Roizen, he's the chief wellness officer at the Cleveland Clinic. He's documented cases. Healthy 65-year-olds aging the biological equivalent of 15 years in just 5 years of traditional retirement.
15 years and 5.
Yeah. He calls it a biological free fall, even down to the cellular level. Your telomeres, those little protective caps on your chromosomes.
Right, they relate to aging.
Exactly. They start shortening much faster when that positive stress, the challenges that keep cells resilient, are removed. It's like your DNA gets a game over signal for repair and maintenance.
And the really insidious thing, I guess, is that this happens slowly, right?
Gradually, yes.
Yeah. So you might not even notice it properly. You just think, oh, I'm sleeping longer, but I feel more tired, or I'm just not interested in my hobbies anymore, or maybe avoiding people because it feels like too much effort.
Classic sign.
And you just chalk it up to normal aging. But it might actually be this retirement syndrome slowly chipping away at your vitality.
Precisely. Mistaking the symptom for the cause.
And then layered on top of the biology, there's this huge issue of loneliness, isn't there?
Oh, definitely. The loneliness epidemic among retirees is very real.
Because when you leave work, you often lose more than a job. You lose your team, your daily interactions, maybe even part of your identity, your place in the social structure.
Your tribe.
Yeah, your tribe. And the health impact is shocking. Studies say loneliness is as bad for your mortality risk as smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
15 cigarettes. That's a powerful comparison.
And get this. The average retiree sees a 60% drop in meaningful daily social contact within the first year.
60%. Yeah. That's huge.
So again, imagine I told you retirement was like picking up a 15 cigarette a day habit. Would you still be so excited for that retirement party? It really makes you think.
It reframes it completely.
And then, of course, there's the money stress. Even with planning, something like 78% of retirees say they feel anxious about money within 5 years.
Which is another major health factor.
Absolutely. Chronic financial stress, it's toxic. It keeps your cortisol levels sky high, messes with sleep, digestion, weakens your immune system. It basically rolls out the welcome mat for cancer, heart disease, diabetes, all the things we associate with aging. But stress is pouring gasoline on the fire.
So if we connect all these dots, the physical decline, the cognitive slip, the loss of purpose, the isolation, the money worries, you see how it creates this vicious cycle, perfect storm, really, for damaging health and cutting longevity short. It shows how that traditional retirement model, even though it sounds appealing, can actually inadvertently sabotage our well-being.
And this is the crucial part. Here's where it gets really interesting and actually quite hopeful.
Yeah.
Because there's this growing movement. People who are just refusing to follow that old script. They're rewriting the rules. They're embracing what researchers are starting to call purposeful longevity.
Purposeful longevity. I like that term.
Those outcomes, they're almost unbelievable. These folks are living longer, yes, but also healthier, more fulfilled lives. They stay engaged, keep learning, stay active, well into their 80s, 90s, even beyond. And their health markers, they often look like someone 20 or 30 years younger.
It's remarkable.
Take David Hartwell. He's an example often cited. 89 years old, still working as a consultant, travels the world, learns new tech.
Still contributing.
Totally. And his doctor recently pegged his biological age around 65. His secret. Not some miracle cure. He just never fully retired. He kept his purpose.
And this ties into cultural perspectives too, doesn't it? Like in Japan.
Exactly. The concept of ikigai.
Ikigai, right. Your reason for being.
Yeah, or a life worth living. You look at places like Okinawa, famous for its centenarian.
And the blue zones.
Oh, right. And the research there shows people who maintain their ikigai, their purpose, throughout life, they have dramatically lower rates of heart disease, cancer, dementia, depression.
And the key thing is,
The concept of just stopping purposeful work, it basically doesn't exist in their culture. They don't even have a word for retirement in the way we think of it.
which is fascinating, isn't it? It shows how much our cultural framing impacts our biology, our longevity. It really underscores this core idea. The human body, the human mind, we seem designed for lifelong growth, challenge, contribution, not for just stopping.
Okay, so bringing this all home, what does this mean for you listening right now for your future? The answer isn't, work till you drop or never enjoy downtime. Of course not.
No, it's about nuance.
It's about redefining what retirement means for you, moving away from that old all-or-nothing model of complete withdrawal towards something more flexible, more personal, something that keeps the good stuff, the engagement, the purpose, the social connection, the mental stimulation, maybe sheds the stressful parts.
Finding that balance.
Right. Maybe it's shifting to part-time. Maybe it's starting that consulting gig using all your experience. Maybe it's turning a passion project into something that, brings in some income, but mostly fulfills you.
Or even a whole new career path later in life. Why not?
Exactly. The science seems crystal clear now. Keep challenging your brain, stay connected socially, hold on to that sense of purpose. You get better cognitive function, stronger social bonds, better physical health, and this powerful shield against depression and that kind of existential dread that hits so many traditional retirees.
Which really raises the critical question, doesn't it? How will you choose a different path? How can you be part of this shift, proving that age is just a number and that maybe your best, most vibrant years aren't necessarily behind you? You really do have the power, it seems, to choose continued life, health, vitality, over that slow fade we've been talking about.
So to wrap up this deep dive, that traditional picture of retirement, it looks like an outdated concept, one that can seriously harm our health, our minds, our sense of purpose. But, and this is the hopeful message, there is a powerful alternative, this idea of purposeful longevity. You absolutely have the power to redefine your future, not just for yourself, but maybe setting a new example.
And maybe the final thought to leave you with is this. If we really embrace this science, if we reject that outdated retirement trap, what amazing new possibilities could open up for those golden years? Possibilities that maybe society told us were impossible? What could your own ikigai, your own reason for being look like, not just today, but for all the years ahead?